Welcome back to another episode of Stuff I Make with Grand Inquisitor Chris. I've seen people post pictures of these paper mache houses in the forums over the last couple of years, and the caption with them is invariably, what can I do with this? Can something be done with this? Because as you can see, based on the grid scale that I have here, this is way out of scale for any of the miniatures that we're going to be using. It's actually pretty close to what you would want for like a G.I. Joe figure. These are paper mache houses. You can get them at the craft stores like Hobby Lobby or Michael's. They're in the paper mache section. They come in a variety of sizes and costs. This one was $4, but I bought it on sale for 50% off, so I paid about $2 for this. Like I said, they come in a variety of sizes. So this one was $5 minus 50% off, so $2.50. I got 3 of each of these. We're going to go ahead and use these to make some larger buildings for our little village, and I'll show you some different things that you can do with them. These provide a real sturdy base for building with, and as you can see with what we'll be doing to these, they can be a nice fast way to help you flesh out a small town. So I guess we'll go ahead and look at getting started. I'm going to do this as a series of a few different videos based on a different style that I'll do for each of the videos. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay guys, I'm letting you guys know that I'm skipping ahead a few steps. The steps that I was going to show you here, I went ahead and just created a separate video for. I'm doing this because I'm trying to edit the length of my videos down to the most important information for them. And because this was going to be something that was going to be a repetitive step for the next several videos that I'm doing, or the next few videos I'm doing anyway, I went ahead and just made it its own video. I will link it in the description, but basically it's just where I go ahead and prep the house by wrapping it and making it so that it's a nice blank canvas essentially to do this on. So if you want to see the individual steps, there will be a link in the description to that video. But otherwise, we're just going to jump straight to the part where we start the actual decorating the outside and stuff. And I will see you guys in just a minute. Okay, welcome back to another episode of Stuff I Make with Grand Inquisitor Chris. Now, continuing with our Let's Make a Village series, I've gone ahead and started another one of the paper mache houses. And we're going to do something a little different with this than we did with the last other two. I've gone ahead and already covered the sides with the cardstock. I've already put a base on it, and I've already put the illustration board in to replace the house after I took the roof off. I'm skipping ahead a few steps on this one because if you've watched the other videos, there's no reason for me to go through all that stuff with this one. But I'm going ahead and doing this way to show you another way that you can decorate the houses. So we've got the roof here. We're going to set that off to the side. Now, for those of you that have watched my tips and tricks videos, I showed you one on making sheets of wooden planks. And basically what I've done is I've taken one of those wooden planks here. If you haven't seen that, I'll put a link to the video in the description. But it's basically on how to make sheets of wooden planks that you can use for all the different projects. I've gone ahead and taken this and put it on the bandsaw and cut it down to about 3 inches tall. I took it, and even though I'm putting this onto the outside of the house, I still went ahead and did the covering with the cardstock just to give me a little bit better glue bond on this, because it's going to cover up the windows and stuff, so I'll get a little bit better bond to this board. Now, taking the board and putting it on the outside, I've gone ahead and marked where I got the planks that I want to cut in between. So there for the side, I marked here for the front, here for the next side, and here for the back. So the next thing I did is take an X-Acto knife. If you have a lot of hand issues like I do because of the herniated disc in my neck, you want a bigger X-Acto knife with a larger handle. But basically taking the X-Acto knife, I've scored in between the planks Now, because of the fact that this is a handmade item from, I covered up the stamp, I guess it's from China or whatever, they're not going to be exact on their size. So everyone is going to be slightly different. So I'm going to cut these by hand, and because they're an odd size, I'm going to make these so that they overlap a little bit. And because of that, I'm not going to cut this on the bandsaw. Okay. Now, I've scored them well enough to come apart at the creases. I do need these to come apart. I can't just wrap it with this, because unfortunately, since this is not an exact size and it's handmade, and this is not necessarily an exact size, if I just try and wrap it, it's not going to work out right. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these all the way separate. You're going to make sure you have a nice sharp X-Acto knife to do this with, just because this illustration board is pretty heavy duty. Let's see which one I am. Okay, so that's the spare. Now, okay, set them up in the order that I had them. They're going to be a little bit warped, but we're going to go ahead and use some clamps to help take care of that. Now, I'm going to go ahead, and this isn't, I didn't want to do this on the bandsaw in an exact distance. I basically want to cut this roughly 3 inches, because when you're cutting a laminate like this that's made out of 2 separate materials and it's fairly dense on one of the smaller bandsaws like I have, it tends to want to make the blade push to the side a little more, so you don't get nearly as good of a cut. So you can end up with a really weird wavy line on it. So I went ahead and cut these by eye, and got a little bit more space up here. If I go ahead and make it flush, you can see that I've got an overlap here where the inside is taller than the exterior that I'm going to put on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and raise it so it's kind of halfway up on each of those. There's a little gap here and a little gap here. We're going to cover those up here in a little while with some extra craft sticks. Now, I'm going to go ahead and clean up the edge. Again, it's good to have a nice sharp X-Acto knife for this. Okay. That's good. Let's see, where are we? There's a good one. Now I'm going to glue these sides down one at a time, so there will be a fair amount of drying in between. So as soon as I get this side glued, I'll show you the next step that I'm going to do Well, I'm waiting for this to dry before I glue all 3 sides, or all 4 sides, sorry. We want to make sure we have plenty of glue for this. Smear the glue around. Okay, sorry, I forgot to bring these over with me. Now, as soon as you have it placed where you want it, go ahead and put the clamps on. Now, previously you saw me using rubber bands for a lot of this. Unfortunately, because of how thick the wood plank sheet is, rubber bands won't really work for it for this stage, because there's just a little bit too much pull on that. We're still going to put some on, but it's just that the rubber bands themselves are not sufficient to do the entire job. Put some of my smaller clamps up here. Granted, these are not the strongest clamps, but with this project, every little bit's going to help. Okay. Now we're going to let that completely dry for a while. Now, make sure our sides now, any little gaps that you have, we're going to cover up with some little posts, so it's not going to be a big deal. Okay. So those are good. Now we had an extra piece here of the wooden plank board. Stretch that out just a little bit. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use this to make one of these sides. What we want to do is take and hold it against it. You want to try and make it as straight up and down as you can. It's not wanting to work right. Okay, so we'll just flip it. Try and visually align it to make sure that it is aligned with the edge of the house. Now we're going to take a pin . Okay, so we've got this roughly aligned. We're going to end up cutting this on the bandsaw. I'm going to take another piece that I have from another project, do the same thing on it, but we're going to cut this out, and it's not centered on the steeple here, basically what I did is I aligned it so that this edge matches to this edge here, because this is basically going to fit into there, and as long as this angle matches, it should fit in under the roof just fine. It doesn't have to be perfectly aligned. Like I said, this is going to be something that people are going to see at tabletop height, so it's not going to be a big deal if it's a little bit crooked. Don't worry about it. I will go ahead and get these steps done, and I will see you once I've got this one fully shingled and everything. Catch you in a bit. Bye. Okay guys, so we're back with this one. I've gone ahead and put a roof on it. This was an experiment I did on a thatched roof. I'll go ahead and do a separate video on that. Because this, like I said, I wanted something that's going to be solid because I'm doing these for a game store. So this was pretty solid. I'll explain how I did it. Because of the wood paneling, the house is much wider than the other ones, so I had to go ahead and put another base on it because the base that I put it on was barely showing under the edges. So I went ahead and put another base on it. I'm showing it to you at this stage because I wanted to show you the gap filling that I did. To gap fill it, instead of putting on something like plaster or something, I wanted something that I could just drop on and do a little quicker. So I went ahead and put some baking soda on the edge here and just dropped some super glue into it. It gave me a nice solid filler, and it basically is going to be pretty permanent. I also made sure to do this irregularly, so it'll give me an irregular edge once I go ahead and put on the sand and the little bits of ballast gravel and stuff. But I wanted to show you guys where we're at so far on this. Widen back out. But this is going to be the poor rich person's abode. Probably be like a farmer or something like that. So I went ahead and on the little doors here, because I want this to actually look a lot poorer than the rest of the people in the village, even though the other village cottages are smaller. I went ahead and went a little crooked on the doors, but you can see that it actually turned out pretty nice. I'm going to go ahead and put the gravel on, seal this up like I did the other ones, especially on this one because I want this wood to take the spray paint nicely instead of soaking it all up. So I'm going to go ahead and do the glue dip on it and get it all primed up and painted, and I'll show you guys what I have once I get all three of these finished painting. Catch up with you guys in a little bit. And here we go, guys. Sorry I don't have the nice green background that I was hoping to have to put these on. Unfortunately I couldn't find it. I will be getting a different one for some of the future videos, but I wanted to show you guys what we have so far. Here it is in relation to a old D&D fig. I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out. See if I can get in there on the grass. And as I said, at tabletop height, you're not really going to be able to see any irregularities or anything that you put into this. I'm really happy with the texture that came out with dry brushing the wooden planks. Okay, that's it for this tutorial, guys. The next one will be on the larger houses, like that one. Also, this is going to be, I've done some cleaning and such, so this is going to be a nice help for my crafting space, because I'll have some area over here that I can do some of the construction on and do larger stuff. Okay, if you like the stuff I'm doing here, you want to go ahead and like and subscribe if you want to get notified when I do videos when I post them. Go ahead and hit the bell icon so you get notified on it all. If you want to support the channel to help me buy more supplies and stuff so that I can bring you more tutorials, go ahead and I have a PayPal link on the description. I hope to hear from you guys. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section. Even if you don't like the video, you can go ahead and make suggestions on what you think I could do to improve it. I am currently trying to cut some of my videos down to take some of the steps, like the roof here will be its own separate video, to make the videos shorter and easier to watch, because I fully understand that no one really wants to watch more than about a 10 or 12 minute video at a shot. Anything more than that just seems like work. I will hopefully hear from you guys, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.